much for joining me. Remember, after reading the caption of the broadcast, read the description of the broadcast as well. Then like it, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Tell them to join us as usual. The Maiyegun is live. Right, things have been happening since Donald Trump waded into the ongoing increased insecurity in Nigeria. The American Congress, our congressmen and women, have also waded in which the team put together by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to look into all these killings and report back so that it would know what is next line of action or next course of action. So while all of this was going on, Tinubu and his team have been trying to meet with them, which they have actually met. And from the snippet of what they have had or agreement they've had, right, which I have not actually confirmed, so I'll share with you. So they seem to have been able to mellow Donald Trump's government in America to give them time, right, to rout all these terrorists. While the American Congress and the congressmen and women were discussing the killings in Nigeria, how it should be categorized or how it shouldn't be categorized, Nigerians were asking where were their own National Assembly members. They even made some jokes about that at some point. So from yesterday, right, it seemed this issue of national insecurity has now finally got the attention of your national lawmakers. So they scheduled today as a day they would actually trash it. In conclusion, though, they actually came up with something which I'm going to get to. That is, their conversation today, as myriad as kind of like, uninteresting some of them are, right? They ended up concluding that kidnapping in Nigeria, that a Fulani terrorist or any other person involved in kidnapping will be treated as terrorism. So therefore, the Fulani terrorists kidnapping people without any form of a justice except ransom and ransom payments. So they are about to, but I don't really think laws are the problems of Nigeria. There is nothing in this world that Nigeria have no law about. Nigeria have laws, right, about, what do you call it, the space. Just so you know, but their problem is implementation of that. The one that would go as far as picking the sponsors of terrorism. They are within the government and without the government. Wherever they are, if the government can actually go on and implement their own law by grabbing them and hold them responsible, prosecute them. Anyway, so we're going to start from the back and forth between these guys. So now, it's not like that of the US Congress when they were having that chat. You know, Nigerian faction, right? You know, sorry, the Nigerians kind of like, rather said version rather. So the Nigerian version rather, okay? So they were all pretty much like screaming and all that. However, there was few of them who made some reasonable points. Somehow something that looks like, confession as well. Few things I grabbed. So let me kind of like tell you everything. Let's start with this. It was it was actually a lawmaker, right, from northern part of Nigeria. This time at the lower chamber, the House of Representatives, rather. Okay, so we're going to start with that. Then go on to their Senate, and then on to the Tinubu presidency, who made some pronouncement this evening towards the same issue, right? So please share the broadcast if you haven't, and sit back.
Thank you for your leadership, and may God bless you all, the leadership of the 9th Assembly. But with heavy heart, Mr. Speaker, and deep sense of duty, I rise to contribute to this most important debate on the state of insecurity in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, how I wish we will be debating on any other thing instead of insecurity, but this is where we are. Mr. Speaker, recently, our nation is mourning a lot of activities, not because our government is not doing well, and not because our security agencies are not doing well. In just last few days, Nigeria has witnessed strategies that should shake every conscience in these chambers. On the 17th of November 2025, armed bandit attacks Government Girls Comprehensive College in Mega.
Order, please. Order, please. Please.
They kill
Order,
a vice
please.
principal and kidnap our school children. This is not an isolated incident, Mr. Speaker. It is not, because it is part of over 145 abductions that took place recently in Nigeria, ranging from Kebbi, Niger, Zamfara, and other parts of the country. Mr. Speaker, we know what is happening to our soldiers on the front line, particularly the story of General Musa Uba. Mr. Speaker, from the attack in Kwara, the one in the church, to Kasina Mosque massacre, to mining site attack in Kwara, and violent mob in other parts of the country like Edo State that took place some times ago, it is clear that this House needs to do something urgently. Mr. Speaker, the crisis now have several interconnected theaters. When you look at the Northwest and North Central, banditry, mass kidnapping, extortion, and rural terrorism is happening. When you take the Northeast, the issue of Boko Haram and ISWAP, mutation capable of hitting 100 targets. Mr. Speaker, if you go to South and maritime domain like oil theft and coastal criminality is happening, just like other part of Nigeria. But we should ask ourselves, Mr. Speaker, what is going on wrong? We must be honest with ourselves. Under policing and orchestrated and overstretched force, the chairman police have mentioned this. We know what is happening to our forces in times of joint operation. They are being overstretched. There are no enough manpower to face the situation. Mr. Speaker, in talking about what is wrong, our population is equally exceeding the manpower requirement, and the equipment that our forces have cannot combat insecurity. Mr. Speaker, the failure of safe school framework is equally one of the things that is bedeviling us. Having committed hundreds of billions of naira, yet our schools are still soft targets from bandits and other criminalities in the form of kidnapping. My previous colleagues who speak previously before me have talked about intelligence and technology gaps. Mr. Speaker, too many attacks happened previously in one area, repeating itself because of lack of preventive surveillance and so many other security problems. Mr. Speaker, I will not bedevil us with too much talk, but let me ask this question. What do we need to do as a House? I prefer the following solution to us before concluding. A concrete multi-layer plan is hereby presented. We need an immediate action. A joint resolution of both this House and the Senate to be able to tax the security agencies to come out with operational plans that will be able to address the insecurity and face the House in discussing it with Nigerian people on how we can bring this problem of insecurity and reduce it to the barest minimum. Mr. Speaker, a dedicated family liaison unit to give victim family truthful, timely update is equally important. When you look at what is happening in the social media, it puts the family of those kidnapped children into so many traumas. They don't have a dedicated trauma unit to go and get information that will be able to calm them down. Rather, they rely on information, some of them negatively, being circulated in social media and further aggravate their own trauma. Mr. Speaker, there is need for you, having initiated a serious legislative reform. We appreciate you for spearheading security reform, anti-corruption reform, and so many other reforms that have direct nexus with the problem of insecurity. But Mr. Speaker, you need to do more by ensuring that legislative reform is being conducted. Mr. Speaker, under your own leadership too, The capacity, welfare, and accountability effort should equally be escalated. Mr. Speaker, the House, myself inclusive, need to conduct oversight, robust oversight engagement with the security agencies in such a manner that if a budget is approved, let us monitor this budget to see that it is being expanded up to the front line of insecurity, not for those approval to be stopped at a particular level. Support equally the issue of recruitment and additional military personnel should be.
Demand. Politicians, all talk, no action. You know what makes the terrorism in Nigeria and the insecurity in Nigeria to persist? I'll tell you a bit. These terrorists and their sponsors, right? They have succeeded over time to infiltrate the administrative structure, political structure, security structure, every important national structure of Nigeria have been infiltrated by them. So therefore, there is no way chain of information, intel, will move that will not actually fall on the laps of this their sponsor and their reps. Nigeria politics requires you spending huge amount of money. That's one way that somehow, this is me now, my intrusive thought, that time that you just be like, hang on, how did they manage to possibly infiltrate your politics? Well, your politics is politics of money. Many of you don't even ask where these guys were getting all these monies from. Somehow you believe that, they are just looting the money, but money from drug dealers, narcotic money is being funneled into your politics so that the drug dealers, they will have political representation and then they will get political protection. But you won't pay attention. You just realize that this guy comes and suddenly he's got these billions to spend because some godfather gave him. Similarly, these terrorists, Islamic terrorists especially, those ones who God knows what their real agenda is, because I don't see how they are going to succeed in taking all of us up. Shall you get that and then take over Nigeria? That's going to actually be civil war. Shall you get that? They would have to actually wage proper war against the rest of the indigenous people of Nigeria before they will succeed. So how did some of them gain power? For how many years have they been thrown into your administrative, political, civil, in all those places? So there is no sharing of intel that will elude them. There will always be their own spies inside that your system. So that's what makes it even more ridiculous. The National Assembly, they have the Security something committee. This Security something committee, right? They also expect all the security agents and the rest of them to share some certain info with them. What they do with all this information, whether the number of ammunition they are procuring and where they are keeping them, this kind of like classified information. They probably share some of them with these guys, these politicians, or those who are even within the military and the rest of that. So, because if you look at this, look at this terrorism generally, from where it all started to where we are now, and tell yourself, how could they have succeeded, survived for these nearly 2 decades, killing Nigerians and kidnapping them? On the last count, this has already taken about 2 governments. This is the 3rd government. What do you really think it would have? The kind of clout they have to have lasted this long without the blessing of their supposed sponsors who are in government, in business, in politics, in everywhere, even in the security apparatus. The last person that told us exactly about these guys was Goodluck Ebere Jonathan, but when he realized it was too late, instead there were Boko Harams inside his own government, but people didn't understand. There are those they call the sympathizers, terrorist sympathizers, They may not have power, okay, to prevent an action, but they may have power to sabotage an action so as to have a disastrous end. How do you fish out these saboteurs in your system when political patronage is the top priority of those in power? Political patronage, chronic capitalism, cronyism, everything that satisfies them, even in this insecurity, rather than all of them to come together and end it so that they can enjoy whatever they are looting in Nigeria. Abi, they still turn that to business. Rather than end the insecurity, it just persists. That is not by accident. So when you hear that your government, it doesn't mean that Tinubu is personally protecting the terrorist. No. But there are those who are better positioned to have the better intel to now advise him. So when you now look at those who are advising him, that's where you get to see all the saboteurs. Are they telling him everything? Is he even really aware? Does he even know the Nigeria that is the president of, right? Some of you will be like, he does, but yet it doesn't. So the point here is that there are those who knows that without the government's protection, when I say government, using the instrument or the institution of government to protect armed terrorists who have blown up, I believe, all chances. When the Niger Delta militants then, when they were on rampage, the moment they were offered amnesty, you know what happened? They publicly renounced their agitation. They handed over their weapons, probably like 10-20% of their weapons to mark the ceremony, so as to show that, okay, we are no longer, you government, now do your own part. For the past 10 years, Boko Haram has been allowing terrorists to go without trial. He has been doing that for this Fulani terrorist without any trial at all. However, that has never reduced the killings. So that is where Eyinaya Abari becomes in. Should he come in now? Yeah, let's go.
South. The writer, George Orwell, made a very profound statement, which I will quote. He says that in times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. We are being told every day to be patriotic. We are being told here that we shouldn't say anything against. We are being told that, oh, you shouldn't talk about the past. You should focus on the present. Yet, on this floor, rather than focus on what we're supposed to talk about, we go back to say, oh, during 2015, oh, the Chibok girls happened, and oh, we are now rescuing people. People were not rescued at that time. During Chibok, 17 local governments in Katsina were not having parleys with bandits. People in Kebbi were not leaving all the rural areas and coming to only the urban areas to stay. People in Niger were not being kidnapped. So why do we need to, at any time we need to talk about the present issues of today, we go back to start to look for excuse for our failures of today? I only want to say, let us do the right thing. We're not blaming this government for what they are finding itself, but it is the government in power, and they should do the right thing. What are the right things? We take only one example. The governor of Kebbi said that somebody ordered troops out and people were kidnapped. Till today, nobody in Nigeria knows what happened, and no question has been asked. And we are sitting down here as a parliament, and we turn and we talk. Yet, somebody is responsible. If I'm the commander-in-chief, I will call the army commander in that place and the head of the army and say, if you don't get me the head of this person who withdrew the troops to put all these children in jeopardy, then you make an example of him